everyone. It's Pete here from the Paint Toolkit, and a very good day to you. Whether you're watching in the morning, afternoon, or evening, welcome. Hey, listen, I've got a very special guest with me today. A good friend of mine. I've only known via Twitter. It's the first time we've actually seen each other. A young lady called Ruth Barber. And good morning to you, Ruth. And how are you today?
Good morning, Pete. Feeling good. So pleased to be talking to you this morning. This is good.
It's good to meet you as well and see you for the first time. Listen, we've got something else in common actually, and we're going to be. You wrote a blog recently. I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but before we get onto that, we've got a bit of another connection where we both attended the Input Pain Management Program in London, and it seems that for me and for you, that program seems to have turned our lives around to somewhat. I mean, what's your take on that?
Yeah, absolutely, Pete. And I think I just say to people all the time, I feel so lucky that I was able to attend that programme, because I think if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't be in the position that I am now, which is to obviously live well with pain. So definitely was a life changer, and feel a wee bit evangelical about it. People are probably fed up with me talking about the wonderful input and how great it was.
Well, I think, to me, Input is one of the flagships. I think the other one is down in Bath, and there's many other pain management programs around the UK. Listen, let's get on to this blog. I think it might have been about a week or a fortnight ago that you wrote a blog and you posted it on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
And, it resonated with me, and it really resonated with other people out there. I mean, can you tell me or tell the viewers why you wrote the blog,
Mm-hmm.
and what is the blog about?
Of course. So I did post it a couple of weeks ago, but it's actually something I wrote maybe, I think 5-6 years ago. So I wrote it just for myself, just to kind of, I don't know, get all the things that are going on in your head out on paper. I think at the time I was just finishing maternity leave, so I was just about to go back to work part-time after having my daughter, and that whole time that I'd been off, I think my kind of pain management skills were definitely pushed a wee bit to the background, because I was obviously looking after a baby and that took up everything. And I think I just needed to get something out of my head as to think, how on earth am I going to be able to continue to work and to kind of live my life? And by writing it down, I think it reminded me that my pain management skills weren't in the background. I was still doing them because they were just so much part of my life. And so even though I think before I was looking after my daughter, I was very much, okay, I must do this, and this is what I learned, and this is what I must do each day. And I was very regimented about it. And having someone else in my life then made me realise, actually, I don't need to be so regimented, but I still can do those things and still live really well. So that was a real kind of teaching thing for me, I suppose, that I could be a wee bit more relaxed about how I lived. So I'm still pacing, I'm still, doing regular relaxation, I was still doing my yoga, I was still doing all those things, but I wasn't making them like the big priority, but it was still obviously part of my life. And I think that's something that we've spoken about, is that pain management is life management. I'm not looking after my pain, I'm looking after my life that I have with pain. So I suppose that's why I kind of got it down. Have I drifted now? Have I stayed on?
To be honest with you, it's like I totally 100% agree with you, because I think sometimes, because pain management is called pain management, it's that term, the actual pain, is that we're managing the pain, etc. But I mean, I've in recent sort of months really, I've started up another hashtag called, and not even using the word pain, I call it self-management living. Because that's what that's what we do. We're managing our lives to the best of our ability. We've got pain, we may have other health conditions, but can I ask you a question? When you did the input program, did you find that the skills and the tools that you learned there were all transferable to perhaps other health problems since then? Like, was it the same for you? Because it's definitely the same for me.
Definitely. And things like sort of maybe not the most usual things. I think a lot of people sort of think like the exercise or the pacing up to do certain activities, you know, all of that is really useful. But things for me were things like, you know, how to communicate when you're talking to a health professional. You know, that seems so simple, but I was so shy, and I'm still very shy, but that whole kind of like, you don't need to be receiving the treatment. You can go into that with, I'm informed, and you know, this is my health and how I can look after myself. And I didn't, you know, none of that before was how I would have, you know, been in any kind of healthcare setting. And actually last year, I've got some other sort of funny pain stuff going on with my face, and it just didn't stress me out in any way. I didn't, you know, get upset about having to go through multiple kind of process of elimination. I was just like, this is what I've got to do to check that it's not something, you know, sinister, and once that's done, then I can live with it. And it was, for me, I hadn't really noticed that I had shifted like that until another health condition comes up. But absolutely, you know, this is not just about how to be looking after that one pain thing. This is, you know, I feel like, well, I mean, you definitely are the kind of flagship of how we should be as patients, but that is, you know, definitely get ourselves out there and be active as a patient is definitely the skill that taught me. And that was like the assertiveness of it, and, you know, how to talk to people about your pain, or how to talk to people about the needs that you have with that. That was a big thing for me, definitely.
I think one of the things I certainly learned on the pain management program was the teamwork. You know, it wasn't all down to the healthcare professional to solve my problem. You know, I had to take responsibility as well. And I think sometimes the term self-management got a bit lost, where a lot of people think, well, when a healthcare professional says, well, you need to self-manage your pain, they think they're being cut adrift. You know, well, you know, you're someone else's problem, that sort of thing. And you know, I've explained over the years and months, really, that self-management is really teamwork. It's where healthcare professionals and the person with pain, they're working together. And I think that was what the ethos of the pain management program was, that all the healthcare professionals, all the disciplines, the physios, the clinical psychologists, the pain doctor, the OTs, you know, they was all working as one, really, you know.
Yeah, definitely, and to put us as one of them as well, that we're a professional of our own health. And it's interesting, like you mentioned about me teaching yoga, like now whenever I'm talking to my classes, before I would have said, you know, has anyone got any injuries, has anyone got anything they need to tell me about, whereas now I'm very much, you're you know, the person who knows the most about your health, so if there's something that I need to know, then tell me. But you know, you're the expert of yourself, so you know, do what you need to do. So I think people don't often feel, I suppose, that they're the expert of their own health. Well, maybe they are not encouraged to feel that, I don't know. But
well, that's why that term come around, didn't it? I mean, I worked on a program in the NHS called the Expert Patients Program.
Oh, right, yeah.
And it was Sir Liam Donaldson. He was the chief medical officer at the time for England, and he used that term because he discovered or thought that people who live with long-term conditions, they're experts of their self. Like, you know, they live with it 24 hours a day, 365 days of the year. So the way we are, perhaps they're experts in that, but we may need some extra skills along the way to make some improvements. Hey, listen, you said about yoga. Now, have you become a yoga teacher? Was you a yoga teacher before the pain, or was you doing something else before the pain, and then you've gone on to be a yoga teacher? How did that work?
Yeah, so at the time I was in London, so I actually worked, I worked for the NHS in a health promotion team, but I was a fitness instructor, so I taught all kinds of different classes, things like cardiac rehab. I actually worked with the expert patient program, so we're obviously living parallel lives here, Pete, this is strange. So I think that's also kind of one of the reasons that I found and definitely, you know, supported self-management so easy to understand, because I worked in health promotion, which is very much about, you know, take responsibility for your own health and find things to do. So I was doing that, And then after I did the programme input, I just went along to a yoga class to see, you know, what is all this kind of, what I thought was stretching all about, and realised it's not all about stretching, and it's actually about looking after your entire system and looking after your body. So I was really fortunate in that my NHS employer actually, they paid for me to do my yoga teacher training, so that then I could adapt my work that I was doing. This was quite a long time ago, so in the kind of times of training being paid for, but yeah, so then my job, then I could adapt that and I could teach yoga rather than the more strenuous type classes. So, you know, I was really supported with my employer, which I think is something I feel really fortunate for as well, so that I was able to continue to work full time, you know, the whole time that I was in pain, even after pain management, kind of using reasonable adjustments. You know, they were brilliant. And I think, again, I'll definitely come back to that. It's all about communication, like how I went in with, you know, this is what I've got, this is what I've learned, how can my job be changed to make sure that I can still work. And I mean, I know I was really fortunate. I know that's not always the case, but yeah, so that's how I then became a yoga teacher, and then somehow managed to end up back in Glasgow and being freelance, so teaching for myself now.
Well, listen, it's been really nice getting a bit of an idea of your journey. I'll tell you what we have forgotten to mention, what the blog was called. Like, can you remember it off the top of your head?
So I wrote, the title is The Princess and the Pea, because that was the physiotherapist that I saw, that was how he described the pain that I had to me. So it was the story of the princess and the pea, and you can still feel the pea obviously through the mattress. So that was how he explained the kind of allodynia, or the kind of feeling of pain for me. Yeah, and I think I can't not mention my wee strapline that everybody keeps saying, is that pain management is exhausting, it's consuming, but there really is no other option. There isn't an alternative for me. There is no other alternative. If I'm not managing the pain, if I'm not self-managing, then, you know, there isn't an alternative. I can't, there's no other way of being able to live. And I want to live, of course I want to live, so I'm going to manage it the best that I can.
Listen, we've got a little bit about, you know, listen, life ain't perfect, you know, and I always say we got things a little bit back to front there, or we should have talked about the name of it. But listen, a couple of things I want to tell you before we go. You know about the Pain Toolkit Cafe that we do monthly. How would you like to be the next guest speaker in January if you're available?
That'd be great. Yeah, I'd love to.
Yeah, you can tell people about the yoga and stuff like that, etc., because that's something. That's what we're doing now in the cafe, is doing things a little bit differently. Guest speaker. And with your permission, if it's okay with you, can you send me the text from your little blog? Because what I want to do is actually give you a special section on the Pain Toolkit website, so you know they can see the video, they can see the audio, but also they can read your blog as well. Like, and I'm giving you a little bit of a space on the site.
Yeah,
is that okay with you?
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you. Yeah, that'd be great.
And I'm sure I've got a few ideas. I'm very sure that me and you're going to maybe doing some work together.
Are we? Am I getting sucked in, Pete? Getting sucked in.
I tell you what, baby. While you've been talking, I'm saying to myself, this girl, I think I've got to. See, to me, as you know, I should probably tell, I'm a bit of an older dude now. And to me, it's about how do I see. You're the next generation, you guys. You know, so how can I connect with you and others and bring you on so that you're teaching self-management skills along the way, like, you know. Listen, I've got things to do, like I've got to go and ride my Harleys, like, you know.
That's more important, Pete.
Hey, listen, Ruth, it's been really cool talking to you.
Yeah,
Thank
you too.
Don't. I'm just going to stop the record button in a minute, but don't race off.
Okay.
Hey, listen, everyone. This has been a really nice interview. A really nice start to my day. It's the morning here in the UK. Come and join me again on another Pain Toolkit video, where I'll be talking to other people, perhaps healthcare professionals or people who live with pain, about self-management. How can we get the word out there a bit more, etc. So, as they say, be safe, be careful, be cool and groovy, in fact. Take care now, guys. See you again, Ruth. See you again, and on another video.